Hi, I thought I'd do a little bit of an update for you because we have gotten news that sometime in September that we're going to be able to start having very modified worship services again. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up as to what that might look like. Up to this point, what we have been doing is doing recorded services, and then we've used Zoom to help broadcast that out to everybody. And what we have done is that it's just been myself, it's been Elaine or a musician, and then we've used members of the choir and given preference to those members of the choir who are willing to do readings and do prayers of the people. Just to simplify things, we just found it too hard to try to figure out to make a more complicated rotation of people. So the choir is used to helping to encourage the congregation to worship, and so we've used the choir to help bolster our recordings. So that's the reason that we've done that. But now we're going to be able to open things up a little bit, and we're not sure exactly how all that's going to work, but we are going to give you a little hint as to what that might look like. So I'll give you a bit of a walkthrough. So when you first arrive at the church, you are going to be coming in this door, and there will probably be someone with a table either on the outside or on the inside. And so what we're going to do is voluntarily take people's names, and if you choose to let your name stand, then we'll have a record of who's been there. So if all of a sudden we had a case of COVID-19, we could call out and let everybody know about that they've been potentially exposed to that. So there's a voluntary name. You will be asked that you have taken the assessment tool online from AHS, that you have sort of made sure that you haven't been outside of the country in the last 14 days, that you haven't been exposed to anyone who has had COVID-19, that you don't have any symptoms that are COVID-like. So this is the kind of thing that we'll be asking you. So there'll be a table. People just say, yes, I've taken the online assessment, and here's my name and phone number just to keep a record of who's been there. So then you're going to be coming inside. I should say that before you come, we're really encouraging people to bring their own masks. The assumption is that everyone will have their own masks. We will have some masks here for people who don't have any or forgot to bring theirs. So we'll have a limited amount here for those who need them. But the assumption is that everyone's going to be bringing their own masks. You might go upstairs. That's the preference. We can fit, I think, between 30 and 40 upstairs, and then we can also fit between 30 and 40 downstairs. And if we need the downstairs, we'll put up a video screen, and we'll make sure that everyone can see and hear what's happening upstairs. Some of you who've been to a funeral here where we've needed to use overflow will recognize that setup. So the assumption is you came with your mask, you've met the person at the front desk, you have sanitized your hands on your way into the building, and then you're coming into the worship space. Now, when we're in the sanctuary, we're going to be using the overhead TVs to broadcast the service, to put up the slides. And it's going to be very different because there aren't going to be any hymnals or Bibles or prayer books in the pews. All of that is going to be removed because we can't sanitize those. And we're not sure how music is going to work yet because we're not allowed to sing. So whether we sit and meditatively listen to a soloist or recorded music, we still have to decide what that's going to be, or whether we're going to hear sort of instrumental music playing. We're not sure what that's going to look like yet. And that is one of the things that is going to be very strange as we gather together. The other thing is that you're going to be guided by an usher or a sides person to sit in the pew, and they're going to make sure we're having trained volunteers to make sure they're sitting people at a distance, making sure we're maintaining the 6-foot distancing rule, 6-foot 2-meter distancing rule. It's a little tricky because we can't just put tape or something on the pews because a family can sit together and they would take up pretty much a whole pew, And you might have someone who's single, and then you might have a couple. So we're going to have to play it by ear and allow the sides person to have the wisdom to know how to space everybody out properly. And then if the space up here gets full, then we'll put people downstairs. Well, and now we get to communion. So communion is going to be very different. The priest is going to be taking the wine, and only the priest is going to be taking the wine. The priest is going to be distributing communion, and what's going to happen is that I'll be probably not wearing a mask, and I'll be speaking out the Eucharistic prayer and leading the liturgy. When it comes to the time that and I will make sure that all the cyboria, which is the little, it looks like a chalice with the pieces of bread inside, that will all be covered while I'm speaking out the prayers. And then what will happen is that I will put on a mask, and I will come down and I'll have the cyboria. You'll be directed by a sides person to come forward. We'll make sure that everyone is distanced. There will be a little table with hand sanitizer, and what you're being asked to do is to sanitize your hands, pull down your mask, receive communion, pull up your mask, sanitize your hands, and then you're being asked so we don't have anyone bumping into each other, you're going to be coming around and going back to your pew, walking around. And if you have a mask, you can maybe walk past the people on the edges. We're hoping we can sort of manage that safely. It's going to be very strange. You're not going to have the chalice with the wine in it, but it is the traditional teaching of the church that to receive communion in one kind is to receive it in both kinds. When we are done, everyone is going to have to leave out a separate exit unless you're using the elevator or the ramp. That is sort of the only exception. So when you are leaving, then you will go out the side doors. So you'll go out these doors and out towards the parking lot. And when you go out the parking lot doors, you'll have to sanitize your hands again to make sure that you didn't pick anything up here while you're with everyone, while you're leaving. While you're here, we're really asking everyone to just remain distant. There's people you're not going to have seen for 6 months or so. You're really going to want to shake their hands. You're going to want to pat them on the back. You're going to want to hug them. And we really ask that you refrain from doing that for the time being. Everyone has a different opinion on COVID and how serious it is, but we really need to have everyone on the same page, because we have to move at the speed of the person who is wanting to be most careful. So we don't want to force anyone into a place where they are not comfortable. I hope that gives a little bit of a run through. I know we'll do some more teaching, and I'll put out another video with a lot more detail, but this is the general idea of what that's going to look like. We'll probably have a basket on the exit for people to give donations, and we'll have someone watching that. There's lots of little details like that we'll have to make everyone aware of. But that gives the overall general idea of what it's going to be like. There's going to be some people who probably don't want to come. They're not going to feel safe coming. And for those people, what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can try to make it live streaming so that you can watch live when we're doing worship. Or we'll also try to record that so you can watch it at a later time if that's not convenient for you. Or we'll do a recording that can be put out that you can watch in place of being able to be present. So yes, there's probably things I'm forgetting to say, and we'll make sure that we make sure everyone is really up to speed by the time we get ready for reopening sometime in September. All right, God bless you all, and I miss you all very much, and I hope you're all staying safe. And I really appreciate your prayers for myself and for one another and for our church and for the world. So God bless you.